Hey, Autumn Athletes, Larry Sorensen here. Today, I'm going to get to know Jennifer Thompson and find out what makes her an Autumn Athlete that's not done yet. Remember, if you enjoy our content, please like, subscribe, and ding that bell for notifications. All right, let's get this started. Jennifer, thanks so much for joining us today. Why don't you kick us off with some bio basics?
Jennifer Thompson, 51 years old. I've been teaching middle school for 30 years, and I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
All right, well, great to meet you, Jennifer. Tell us a little bit about your athletic and fitness history.
In high school, I was a long-distance runner. I used to run road races with my dad in college, and I played a little volleyball, but I found weight training in college. Once I found that, I never looked back.
When you found weight training, was there anything specific or a specific person or anything that inspired you?
Well, in college, I lived in a house with a bunch of other roommates, and one of our roommates had a home gym back in the early 90s. And so at 4 o'clock, all the guys would come over and they'd go down there and lift weights. And I could hear them playing music and like having this great time. And they would invite me every time to come down. And I was just intimidated because I was the only girl and I was all just running. And so finally one day I was like, I'm going to go try that because it sounds like they're having just the best time down there. And so I went down and they kind of showed me the basics of how to work out. And before you know it, I was doing every day. I love the camaraderie among all the people. I love that they treated me as an equal. And I loved the big progress I saw every single time I went down there.
Have you had any major setbacks along the way that you had to overcome? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I've had several injuries. I also had a child, so that was a big setback. 9 months and then the recovery. And I had a couple of surgeries. I also like to do a lot of water sports. So actually some of my injuries came from water sports. I like to wakeboard. I broke my ankle and blew out my ACL wakeboarding. Also had to have neck surgery, which I think was also from the falls of wakeboarding. And then I had to have my labrum hip tear in my hip replaced from powerlifting, and I also broke my pelvis. Yeah.
But you're still going, so that's
Several
good.
comebacks, but I just figure weight training is a longevity sport. You can like literally do it together forever. So every time I have a little setback, I'm just like, it's okay. We'll get back where we want to eventually. Just got to take the time and be patient and work through it.
I want my audience to understand the accomplishments that you have achieved. So fill us in. Tell us about all these highlights of your weightlifting career.
Well, powerlifting is squat, bench, and deadlift. And so I've won 4 world titles in squat, bench, deadlift. And then I won 7 world titles in the bench only division on top of that. I currently hold the world record in the bench press. It's 146 kilos or 322.5 pounds. On the masters, I can break a lot more records. So now I got masters and open records. I think the combined is somewhere in the 70s or 80s as far as world records go. So I've been around for a while. I've won quite a few. I enjoy it.
Are these just flat out world records for weight class, or are they age world records? Kind of fill us in on those details there.
Your age category and your weight category, or open is everybody. So I have world records in several weight classes, and then also my world record's pretty good. It's higher than all the world records except for the super heavyweight. So pound for pound, it's the best world record ever.
And what is your weight class?
Currently 65 kilos. They keep changing them. Every few years they change them around. I started in the 60s, then it was 67.5. Now it's back down to 65. Just kind of go with the flow.
And again, for those of us that aren't good at math, give us a weight proximity.
It's 143 pounds.
And then give us an idea of some of these, the actual weights. So we can understand 143 pound person. How much are you lifting in some of these different events?
For the bench press, it's a pause bench press. You have to bring it to your chest and rest it until the referee says press. So in this weight class, it's 322.5. in the weight class. When I went up a weight class to the 70s, I did 327.5. So well over double my body weight. It's almost, I think it's like 2.3 or 2.4 times body weight.
And I'm pretty sure everybody in my audience will just think that's great no matter what. But in case you're not sure and you're not a weightlifter, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Hence the world
There's
record.
nobody else doing that right now.
Yeah. I wish I could do that. Okay. All right. So tons of success up to this point, and I know you definitely are not done yet. So
Nope.
fill us in a little bit on some of your pending events, or are you going after other world records, or just trying to increase your own records? Just
Yeah.
what's on the horizon for you?
Well, for the bench press, that's my best. And so I pretty much dominate that category. But when you add the squat, bench, and deadlift together and you're doing all three, I'm not dominating that category anymore at 51. A lot of these younger girls are winning. I'm usually in the top three. I just try to stay in the top three now with them. But I have the Arnold Classic coming up in 3 weeks. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger's big athletic event in Columbus, Ohio. It's the first weekend of March every single year. It's my favorite event to go to because there's hundreds of thousands of people were there watching and cheering, and everyone's going bananas, and the atmosphere is electric, and the who's who of any athletic sport is there in every single company, and Arnold's always there with some celebrity friends. So I have that coming up. And then after that, I'll be training for our powerlifting national championships, which is at the very end of June in Atlanta, Georgia this year.
Give us a little idea of your training regimen. And in this particular field, do you have kind of an on-season, off-season where you're changing how you go about the lifting, and really just educate us on your routine so that we can all become as strong as you are?
Well, I have an app that you can get that you can train just like me. It's for all levels, beginning to elite. I'm a mother of 2 boys, and I have my husband, and we all live together. It's a family affair.
Oh, wait, where she needs it, keep holding it, over the step. There you go. Down and up. Run it. There you go.
There you go. Much better.
There you go.
Hammer it.
Yeah, get on the board.
Easy. Hammer
Let's
it.
go.
Come on, Mom.
Get on the board, let's go. Run it now.
Come on, Mom. Come on, Mom. Come on, Mom. Come on, Mom. A little bit, a little bit.
A little bit.
Oh,
Good.
got it.
Nice, perfect. All right, put them away. Perfect.
Thanks, guys. High fives. That's right. Thank you. I think that's probably one of the reasons I've done it so long, is because I really enjoy spending that time in the gym with my family. And then we have some friends that come and train with us every day. Also, we have this gym in our basement, and so everyone comes over for training days. So it's more like a big social gathering with a lot of heavy lifting. But I do train differently when I have a competition coming up. I have what I call my competition ready program, and it's really getting you ready to lift the most possible weight. After a 12-week training cycle, the idea is to bench, squat, and deadlift the most you can. So it's a very heavy lifting intensive sort of training. We train a little differently than a lot of people. We kind of flip-flop workouts from week to week. So 1 week I really focus on speed, because force is mass times acceleration. And so if you can keep your movement up, your force is up. And then the other one I focus on lifting heavy weight. So we work on an 8-day system. So we do workout like an upper body, lower body. We take 2 days off, upper body, lower body, 2 days off. And we just kind of constantly run that, because we'll work out for about 2 hours for 2 days, and you're killing it pretty hard. So then you really need about 2 days rest before you can come back and do it again. And then my off season, when I don't have a competition coming up, we do a lot of lighter weight, more of a hypertrophy type of training, because your body definitely needs a break when you're really pushing that heavy weight. Like, I'm 3 weeks out from the Arnold right now, but like my shoulders are getting tight, my elbows are getting tight, I'm sleeping a little less because my cortisol levels are so high. So you definitely have to kind of ramp yourself up to that type of lifting and then give yourself a break.
So you mentioned, the whole gang coming over and working out in your gym and so forth, and we can see the apparatuses behind you. So the rest of us want to know, what the world record holder's gym looks like and what's all in there. So why don't you take a second here and give us a tour of your home gym?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Okay, this is our ER rack. We actually got this as a sponsored bench when we hosted Bench Press Nationals in Charlotte in 2008. So competition rack, of course. We have dumbbells from 10s all the way to 120s. This dumbbell rack was built by Donovan's friends at Detroit Tool and Die back in the late 80s. They never go bad. That's the awesome thing about dumbbells. This is our newest piece of equipment, the Bells of Steel lat machine. We love because it's stacked weights here. And then it has the double pull down. Over here is our Bells of Steel Hydro Rack. I love this because of the easy weight placement. The Strength Company plates, all made in America. And I love the versatility. We've got the band holders, we've got the lever arms, we've got the straps for safety in the bars. We can pretty much move the bench in and out of here and do any exercise we please. Okay, and we have our reverse hyper over here. I love a reverse hyper. Most gyms, these are like good dust collectors or item collectors. I love how it hits my hamstrings into my lower back and strengthens that. And then of course we have the rack for the stinky elbow sleeves and knee sleeves. So that's super important since this is our home. We have the GHR here. These are our oldest pieces of equipment. This is just a simple like extension and curl machine back from probably the early 90s. And this is our oldest piece of equipment. This is from Troy, Michigan. It was a handmade pull down machine from the late 80s, but that stuff still works. That's the great thing about a home gym. And then we also have a custom built belt squat machine. I love this because you can squat without loading up your back. So I feel like this is one of the pieces for longevity and squatting for sure.
Do you find any benefit in any kind of cardiovascular work, whether it's actually physiologically or maybe just mentally? I don't know.
No, I don't do any cardio at all. It's actually kind of counterproductive to what I'm trying to achieve, which is lifting the most weight I can for one repetition. We do a lot of accessory work. I do a lot of supersetting where I'm going around to the exercises with very little rest, maybe a minute or two between each one. So I do, I guess, sort of get a little bit of a cardio hit that way. Other than that, it's just walking dogs and paddle boarding, and I like being out in nature a lot, and I like just casually hiking trails or doing a little skiing, things like that. Outside of that, I don't do any cardio at all. I just don't feel there's no need for it, and I don't enjoy it. It's not beneficial to what I want to do in any way.
Tell us a little bit about any coaching you do, whether it's in-person stuff locally, or tell us a little bit about how we can find you online, or maybe we could get involved.
Well, I'm a middle school teacher, and our school has K through 12. And so I do have a high school powerlifting team that I coach. We train 3 days a week at the school. So I really enjoy working with the youth, and I do help out in our local community. We're starting a powerlifting program at a local women's shelter right now. But I do have my app that you can go on, and it's for all levels. And so basically you go on there, you sign up, and then you'll pick which program you want to do. It'll send it to you, and it basically will tell you what to do with videos and resources. But then you're also invited into my community. So I have an amazing online community of 400 people, and we'll post videos, we'll do form checks, there'll be questions like, hey, this happened while I was training today, has this happened to anybody else? It's a really supportive, good community, but I always let all my subscribers know that I'm available to them for consultation at any time. So if they're not sure which program to do, if they don't have the equipment for the exercise that's provided, what's a good alternative, or I'm getting these reps, should I drop back weight, so I'm always available. But I don't do where I meet weekly with certain people and run their programs for them and pick their numbers. I did that during COVID a little bit, and I just didn't enjoy it that much, honestly.
What are your handles on social media? Where can we find you for this info?
Pretty much anything's Jen Thompson 132. I'm on Instagram, TikTok. I have my a Facebook page, which is 132 Pounds of Power. And I also have a website, which is 132 pounds of power. I have a YouTube, which is also 132 pounds of power. That was in my original weight class. My YouTube, I have lots of awesome information. I have a whole bench press series, a deadlift series, a squat series where I walk you through. It's like 2-minute videos of you should do this when you squat, and then you should do this when you squat, and this. And so it's very broken down into very instructional videos that anyone can really follow. So I want to have a free resource for everyone who wants to get into powerlifting. It's an amazing sport. The community is unbelievably supportive, and we have a huge population of older ladies getting into the sport. I think a lot of it is because when I first started lifting, we were discouraged from being in the weight room because that was where the men were supposed to go, and ladies would turn into like a she-man if they picked up any weights at all. And now we know that's completely false. So we're really seeing my generation starting to come into this later in life. And it's so good for you, like for your bone density, your mental health, your blood pressure. It does amazing things for you. And it's only like an hour and a half commitment, a few days a week to get that. So and then a lot of people getting into the competing also because we have the age group. So if you're in your 50s, you can go compete in a competition against other 50-year-olds, and it ends up just being this amazing supportive experience.
One, tell us a little bit about your nutrition. And again, if there's a breakdown off season during, competition prep, and then also how do you manage your rest, whether it's actually during training rest type of thing or just general sleep rest?
So my nutrition, I've always eaten pretty well. I'm gonna thank my mother. She was always very into nutrition way early on before it was cool. And she always made us eat real food. So I've been pretty good as far as like, it's very important to me to eat less processed food as much as possible because we all know that it's full of terrible things for you. So I've always eaten fairly well. Protein when you're a strength athlete is gigantic. So I try to get about 160 to 70 grams a day at 144 pounds body weight. So that's eating a lot of protein. To me, I just focus, I don't worry about fat because I eat good. So I just work on getting my protein in every day and eating vegetables because vegetables I feel like are the cure all to any of your body ailments. The only thing that really changes for my diet as I get near a competition is I do have a weight class to make. So like I'm a pound over my weight class right now. So I really start managing my carbs. I'm eating under 100 carbs a day right now, just to try to make sure I'm going to make that weight limit. So I eat pretty well for the first 2 months, and then the third month I usually have to kind of tamp my diet down and really watch my carbs. I'll like put my nutrition in a few times a week just to see where my numbers are, where my macros are, and make sure that my weight is coming down because you don't want to get too light. You want to be just barely get there.
Yeah. What kind of a calorie intake are you looking at?
I got about 1,500 right now.
Rest was the other part of that.
When I'm hitting like my big heavy sets, I take about 7 minutes in between because the idea is to move as much weight as you can for your prescribed reps. We do a lot of 5-rep stuff. And so I don't want to miss my reps because I wasn't recovered enough to do it again. So it's about 7 minutes. We have a lot of people working out with us at one time. And so we're just kind of going in an order. And so once your turn, you go. But if it's just my husband, I will time it and make sure we got at least 7 minutes in between the big heavy lifting. And then when we're doing like the accessory exercises, it's probably more like 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, because you're just, hitting a tricep, a bicep, a shoulder, a tricep, bicep, shoulder. So you're kind of doing more of a circuit. Mm-hmm. But real sleeping is important. I love sleep. I get at least 8 hours a night, and then I take a nap every single day. Like I took a nap before this. A good 20-minuter, or sometimes it's 30, depends on the night before. But sleeping is where rest and recovery. It's when your body heals itself. We've got the flu running rampant right now through our middle school. We have like 5 or 6 kids out, and the teachers are dropping like flies. So I'm trying to make sure I get all my good rest in and washing my hands. Yep. But a lot of people don't, and a lot of rest, a lot of people like to drink caffeine, but man, that really affects your rest if you're not careful. Caffeine has a huge half-life. So I really don't drink much caffeine at all. Because I'm super caffeine sensitive, and if I drink something, at like 11 or 12 in the afternoon, I won't sleep that night because of the caffeine, or I'll sleep very restlessly. Same for alcohol. I don't drink a lot of alcohol because I just don't sleep well after it. And it just really doesn't do any great benefits for your body other than add in some empty calories.
Okay, so you've been at this for quite a while. You're 51
Yes.
now, and
Mhm.
with no plans on quitting anytime soon. So what's the motivation? What keeps you going?
For one, I enjoy it. So there's that. I think keeping in the competition field keeps me going because there's always something you're being held accountable for later.
Yeah.
So, I usually do about 4 competitions a year. In the, training cycles are 12 weeks. It takes up most of it. And I do fly around, do a few seminars here and there. But I enjoy seeing improvement. So I'm a little addicted to, even if it's just I got one more rep at something, or it's the most I ever did in a push down. I don't care what exercise it is.
Yeah.
I love the idea that every time I go in the gym, I can get better than the time I was in there last. And to me, that's very addictive to this competitive personality right here. But I've also set it up so it's an environment I enjoy. I enjoy seeing my family and friends every day when we come do the workout. So it's not like I'm like, ugh, I got to work out today. I always look forward to it. And so I think that, and then knowing that I'm going to perform in front of people at a competition, that keeps me going. And honestly, I've done it for so long, it's become part of my identity. So I identify with Jennifer Thompson, the power lifter. So if I stop powerlifting, I don't really know who I would be anymore. I'd have an identity crisis.
That kind of leads me into, you're in a great place right now and have had tremendous success. But if you could turn back time, is there anything that maybe you would have done a little bit differently?
I started back in the late 90s. We didn't really have internet back then. Like it was like
Yeah.
the slow, like it wasn't like vast. And so there's a lot of few years where we were just trialing and erroring and trying to figure things out. And so we definitely weren't training probably the best way that we could have. I certainly wasn't eating the best way I could have. And there's a couple times, obviously, with the injuries, I would have dialed back on that. Probably wouldn't have gone for that giant jump on the wakeboard that blew out my knee. And I probably, with the deadlift, I tore a really bad glute muscle in my training, and I just trained through it, and I made it way worse. So I wish I would have been a little wiser, smarter with some of my injuries that I had.
If you could bottle your secret sauce for the
Oh.
rest of us, what would the ingredients be?
So I would definitely say sleep. Obviously, the nutrition, the protein, and the veggies are super important. So that's super important. The other thing is just listening to your body. Like when my body tells me it's done, I listen to it. Like I back off, or I'll find an alternate exercise to do, or I'll just tweak things around. But a lot of it is being smart, just smart about your training, because you can certainly get hurt doing this stuff.
So what about us autumn athletes that maybe haven't lifted before, or certainly haven't power lifted, whether it's men or women? What do you recommend to get us started so we don't hurt ourselves?
It's great if you can just find a local gym and get a trainer in person to kind of show you how to do the exercises if you're unfamiliar. The best thing is to find a power lifter because they love to share with our sport with everybody. And there's lots of online communities that you can reach out to, whether it's women who lift weights, women who power lift. There's masters powerlifting Facebook groups out there that can be a great resource also.
So Jennifer, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I'd like to wrap things up here by just giving you the floor to give us some final thoughts.
Well, thank you for having me. I do think there's, this myth that you can't get stronger is completely untrue. You can have a very strong, good life as you get older. Age should not be what's holding you back from trying new. Age is just a number, as a true statement if you believe it.
There you go, folks. Jennifer Thompson. She is definitely an autumn athlete that's not done yet. Remember, keep moving, set your own goals, and train hard to achieve them. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.